From deep, deep dives to orbital jumps, here are 10 of the most death-defying stunts ever. Number 10. Houdini, Chinese water torture cell. Harry Houdini earned his place in history as the most renowned magician through a series of death-defying tricks. But it was the Chinese water torture cell stunt that stands out above the others. As a glass tank was filled with water from a hose and cauldrons from the side of the stage, he would lie down in front of the audience and have his feet constrained with stocks. He was then hoisted up, dunked headfirst into the water, and the stocks were then fixed to the top of the structure. Drapes would surround the tank, but the crowd would be able to see his submerged head. An assistant stood by with an axe just in case things went wrong. But then, for 2 minutes, the audience was in suspense. With the orchestra playing Asleep in the Deep to build anticipation, Houdini would soon appear above the cabinet to rapturous applause. This was a truly dangerous stunt. Despite being designed to make his escape as safe as possible, on one performance, his ankle was actually broken as he was being lifted up. Nonetheless, he never failed an escape from this contraption, and the axe was never used, showing what a true escapeologist Houdini was. Number 9. Evel Knievel, jumping over 14 Greyhound buses. Evel Knievel completed a number of death-defying jumps throughout his career, but perhaps the most impressive was the time he successfully jumped over 14 Greyhound buses while riding a Harley-Davidson XR 750 without suffering any injuries at all. This jump in October of 1975 set a record that would last for 24 years, but it almost never happened. Earlier that year, he had fractured his pelvis and broken his hand while jumping over 13 buses in London, and announced that this was his last stunt ever. He soon changed his mind though, saying that he spoke prematurely, and decided that his final stunt should be on home soil at the Kings Island Amusement Park near Cincinnati, Ohio. At a distance of 133 feet, it was the second longest jump he ever attempted, but the furthest jump that he successfully completed, having crashed during the 141 jump he tried at Caesar's Palace in 1967. This jump solidified his name as the most entertaining daredevil ever and would be his last major stunt. Having broken the distance record, he only demonstrated a few shorter jumps in the following years before finally hanging up his cape for good. Number 8. Alexander Poli, wingsuit flight through a cave. Alexander Poli pushed his abilities to the limits to perform incredible base jumping stunts and captured breathtaking videos of his endeavors around the world. This pursuit of an adrenaline rush sadly led to his death in 2016 when he crashed into a tree in the Alps, but his legacy remains after completing a series of death-defying jumps. One in particular is simply wild, and what was the most impressive stunt ever made with a wingsuit? In 2013, he had found a small cave opening nestled in the mountains in Spain, and, with expert precision, flew through it at speeds of over 155 miles per hour. After completing 2 test jumps to ensure his accuracy, he jumped from a helicopter and guided himself through the gap that at some points were only as wide as he was tall. This truly was a death-defying jump, and ensured that despite the tragic events a few years later, Alexander Poli would be remembered as the best wing diver there had ever been. Number 7. Herbert Nitsch's freediving world record. Freediving is when people dive by relying on their ability to hold their breath without the assistance of scuba tanks or any other breathing apparatus. It's a common activity around the world, whether for fun or as a traditional fishing technique. But in the world of competitive freediving, things get a little more dangerous. Known as the deepest man on Earth, Herbert Nitsch has taken the activity to the extremes. In total, he is the holder of 33 different diving records, but by far the most impressive and dangerous happened in 2012 when he broke his previous world record by diving to a depth of 830.8 feet. He completed this dive off the coast of Santorini in Greece and pushed himself so close to the limit that he very nearly died in the process. His intention was to beat the previous record of 700 feet by diving to 800 feet, and prepared for this attempt for over 2 years. By diving to such depths, divers are required to make stops on their way back up to prevent suffering from the effects of decompression. On his return up to the surface, he lost consciousness due to narcosis and had to be rescued by the safety divers. This meant he missed his stop and subsequently suffered from decompression sickness, needing to spend time in a pressure chamber and undergo months of rehabilitation before he could walk or talk again. Number 6. Dar Robinson Hotel Window Jump. Most of the dangerous stunts that are attempted are simply in the name of entertainment, but movies in particular need people to step up to capture the incredible sequences on film. One of the most highly regarded stuntmen in the history of Hollywood was Dar Robinson, who was featured in movies like Lethal Weapon and Cyclone, and gave his life while filming the scenes for Million Dollar Mystery. Through his career, he set a number of records, but it was his stunt that he performed in Sharky's Machine that will be remembered the most. The film was released in 1981, before the time when safety procedures were as rigorous as they are today. The scene called for someone to be thrown out of a hotel window. So, as to create the effect, Dar Robinson performed the highest free-fall jump ever for the use in the commercially released film. There were no wires used here, with him jumping from Atlanta's Hyatt Regency Hotel at the height of 220 feet. It was an incredible stunt for just a few seconds of footage, and likely one that you'll never see anyone attempt ever again. Number 5. Travis Pastrana's Rally Car Ramp Jump. Travis Pastrana is the leading driver of Nitro Circus, a gold medalist at the X Games across many disciplines, including supercross, motocross, and rally racing, and a stunt performer. It was a stunt he performed in 2010 that would put his name in the record books by making it the longest jump ever in a rally car. It happened on New Year's Eve at Red Bull's New Year's No Limits event in Long Beach, California, and saw him speed up to 91 miles per hour and complete a 269-foot jump in a Subaru Impreza STI rally car to land on a floating barge in Rainbow Harbor. In the process, he beat the previous record by over 100 feet, and after crashing into the barge wall, he emerged unscathed and did a backflip into the water in celebration. Number 4. Paul Steiner's Glider Stunt. Paul Steiner from Salzburg in Austria is the world-renowned skydiver who led and performed an incredible stunt in 2010 for Red Bull. At a height of over 6,500 feet, he did something that no one else has ever done. He climbed out of a cockpit of a glider, walked along the wing, and then did a roll to land on another glider that was flying just beneath. He then walked along the second glider to the main fuselage and grabbed the tail fin of the first one, forming a human link between the two aircrafts. It's dangerous enough flying two gliders that close to each other, but the addition of a human component in the mix made this stunt incredibly dangerous, but stunning to watch. Once he had completed this tricky maneuver, Steiner took a leap from the second glider and parachuted back down to the ground. Number 3. Jackie Chan's Skyscraper Slide. Fortunately, for most well-known actors, there are a number of highly skilled stunt people who perform the most dangerous sequences for movies. But some leading actors did make a point of doing everything themselves. Tom Cruise is famous for doing this in recent years, particularly for Mission Impossible, but the actor who has really put his life on the line in the name of entertainment is Jackie Chan. Having base jumped onto a hot air balloon and roller skated under speeding trucks, it seems there isn't much that Chan will attempt himself. But the most impressive of all of his set pieces was for the 1998 film, Who Am I? After an intense fight scene at the top of a skyscraper in Rotterdam that saw a vital disc fall off the top, Chan does a free-fall slide down the side of a 21-story building in an example of absolute perfect choreography to retrieve it. This full stunt was done for real, without the assistance of safety netting or cabling, and was so fear-inducing that after seeing what was required, it took Chan 2 weeks to build up the confidence to attempt it. Number 2. Alan Eustace, Parachute Jump. In 2012, Red Bull sponsored Felix Baumgartner, a skydiver and daredevil, to make a jump from the edge of space. But the record he set was broken within 2 years by none other than Alan Eustace, who is the Senior Vice President of Knowledge at Google. Eustace's jump took place above the New Mexico desert in October of 2014. It took 2 hours of being suspended beneath a balloon that had been filled with 35,000 cubic feet of helium that lifted him at a speed of 1,600 feet per minute to an altitude of over 25 miles. Then, as he looked out into space and the curvature of the Earth, an explosive charge detonated, and he began the treacherous descent. It took him only 15 minutes to return to the ground, reaching speeds up to 822 miles per hour through the thin atmosphere. He broke the sound barrier, so people nearby heard a sonic boom and began to spin uncontrollably before a small parachute deployed to stabilize him. After free-falling for almost 5 minutes, his main parachute was released and he gently glided back down to land 70 miles away from the launch site. After completing the jump, it was confirmed that he had reached the height of 135,890 feet and broken Baumgartner's record, all the more impressive considering he hadn't used a capsule or needed millions in sponsorship to complete it. He did it purely out of interest and love of science, and funded the jump himself. even turning down offers from Google because he didn't want it to turn into a marketing event. Number 1. David Smith Jr. Human Cannonball. David Smith Jr. is known around the world for performing one of the most traditional stunts, the human cannonball. It is one of the most potentially dangerous stunts that is frequently done and first performed in 1877 by a 14-year-old girl. With a career spanning over 11 years, Smith has been shot from a cannon more than 5,000 times and was even on the 7th season of America's Got Talent when he was fired by Donald Trump. He is also the world record holder for the greatest height reached by being launched from a cannon, something he did the summer of 2013. Guinness World Records often hold events where they try to break as many records as possible, and during the recording of a TV show in California City in California, they brought David Smith Jr. to take on one of the biggest challenges. He broke the record in his usual professional way and reached a confirmed height of 26 meters, or 85 feet and 4 inches. With only a net to catch him after a free fall, this truly was a death-defying stunt. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and click here for more videos. I'll see you next time. Ciao!